Our chief Washington correspondent, Kevin Cirilli, sat down with Republican Senator Joni Ernst, whose home state of Iowa is no stranger to blows to farmers from tariffs. Senator Ernst is also a member of the Senate Agriculture Committee, and here's what she had to say about issues facing farmers in her home state.
All across America, some of our distressed communities were identified as low-income census tracts, and they were nominated by their mayors and their governors as areas of opportunity for investment. And so through this brainchild of Tim Scott's, what we decided was to take those capital gains from private investors and give them the opportunity to invest those capital gains in those opportunity zones, thus deferring the capital gains taxes for a longer period of time. So long-term investment, private capital invested, private dollars, and then boosting those distressed areas, providing opportunity.
It's that juxtaposition of public-private partnerships, and it impacts not only urban communities, but also rural communities, communities that quite frankly, have a harder time attracting some of that outside investment, no?
You bet, of course. So what we were able to experience, especially in Iowa, 62 different opportunity zones identified, many in the rural areas, some of those in our metro areas, but it is an opportunity then to take those capital gains, invest them in distressed areas. It can be rehabbing old buildings, it could be building new buildings, it could be putting in high-speed internet services, which are really important to rural areas. Whatever it might be, what we want to see is a renaissance occurring in some of these distressed areas.
What's the timeline in terms of getting the money?
Well, it depends. It is entirely dependent upon those investors and where they want to invest. The rules are being made up right now by the U.S. Treasury Department. That should be done in the next week or so. The opportunity zones have already been decided across the United States. The legislation is in place, but what we need are private investors to step up and say, you know, I am going to have these capital gains when I sell XYZ business. I would like to reinvest that in a distressed area and help that community out. It's a great tax incentive for those investors. And again, just really raising up those areas that really need a little extra help.
It's the benefit of the tax reform.
It absolutely is. It was included as part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, so it was signed into law by the president. We love it. It provides opportunity.
Let me ask you, critics are going to say, okay, what you're doing, though, is you're shifting from one area of investment to another. If you're investing in one area, it's not going to have a positive impact on the other. To that, you say what?
I say that this is a great opportunity, again, to see those private dollars invested where it will do the most good, and that's in those challenged areas. Hopefully helping out entrepreneurs, helping create employment opportunities that didn't exist previously. I think it's going to be great for our economy.
I want to talk trade, but I want to ask one more question on this. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier about rural communities having some of the same economic hardships as what urban communities face as well.
You bet. And I am excited because I come from a very rural area, and there was an opportunity zone approved in a community just south of where I live. So I was really excited to hear about that. There are some wonderful old buildings in this community that now possibly could be rehabbed and made into new and exciting businesses.
Trade. Yes. Where are we on trade? I know you're hearing a lot about this from farmers in your state. I know you've expressed concerns in terms of the negotiations. Big meetings on trade. European Union officials visiting the White House tomorrow. What do you hope President Trump does?
Well, I hope that we can work with the European Union, especially in my case, pushing ag commodities into the EU. We would love to see them purchasing more of our soybeans, our corn, our beef, our pork, because those are the commodities that have been really challenged by the retribution coming and retaliation from the tariffs that we have put on the Chinese and others. So we want to open up new avenues for trade. Iowa farmers say trade, not aid.
You know, I think this is interesting. I've been interviewing folks from agricultural dominant states, and what they hear from their constituents is they trust President Trump. They want to give him a little more leeway. What are you hearing, though, in terms of the trade negotiations? Are you nervous at all with what's going on?
I want to see trade done done sooner rather than later. I think the president has an exciting opportunity to do better for the United States as a whole. But what happens in the meantime with the retaliation is that farmers are caught in the crosshairs. We don't want that. We don't want to see our young farmers go out of business. We don't want to see those beginning farmers not able to make it through the fall. So we have to provide opportunity. And again, that's by opening up new trade, new markets, new areas of opportunity.
Switching gears, ethanol. I know that there is what's the latest in terms of what's going on at the EPA? Obviously, you're one of the leading lawmakers on that. Ethanol, huge to Iowa.
Right. So we have been pushing back quite heavily on the EPA with all of these small refinery hardship waivers, and we would like to see changes to that. The EPA has not been able to clearly express why some of these hardship waivers were granted, so we're very concerned about that. It should be very simple to lay that out for us. So we are pushing back on that, but what we would also like to see is E15 year-round. Our consumers would love to see that, but because of the Reed vapor pressure issue right now, it cannot be sold in the summer months. We need to see it sold year-round.
Where is the EPA going in terms of, obviously, all the fallout with former Director Pruitt? Where is it going? Do you think it's now finally headed in the right direction, or do you still have some concerns? I
still have some concerns, and that's yet to be seen what direction they go. I want to see a commitment to upholding the law. The RFS is the law, and so far from what I've seen, the EPA has done a great job at really undermining the RFS. So we want to see it implemented, fully implemented, and we want to see it fully supported the way Congress intended.
Last question for you, Dutch, just an update on the Veterans Affairs issues. I know this is also really close to you and everything that's going on. Are you satisfied with the level and the pace of the reform of the Veterans Affairs Office?
Well, of course, we would like to see it done yesterday. But a lot of folks would, our veterans would. But I am excited about the confirmation vote in the Senate with our new VA director, Robert Wilkie. I think he really gets the issues. He understands the importance of making sure our veterans are cared for. And I hope that we will continue to see an uptick in the pace of reformation within the VA.
That was Republican Senator from Iowa and Senate Agriculture Committee member Joni Ernst speaking with our very own Kevin Cirilli.